Layoffs are up, hiring's down, and AI is probably coming for your job. I sat down with Sandy Conroy and Eric Crawford, two career coaches of years of experience at companies such as Meta and Google. They've helped dozens of people land leadership roles in this challenging time. So I asked them the same question: is the job market actually collapsing? Is it possible to get hired right now? Their answers made my jaw drop. Turns out there's never been a better time to stand out if you know the new rules. Hi, I'm Tom from Mentor Cruise, and if you're job hunting or planning your next move, this conversation might be the shortcut you need. Let's go. So the headlines are pretty doom scrolly right now. Layoffs, hiring freezes, feels hard to even get your foot in the door. When you talk to people who help others find work, you get a different picture. What are you seeing in the job market right now? What are you seeing across the different industries that you're working in?
People are building a little bit more confidence, but every time something global happens or something immigration happens, we do see some setbacks. But people are getting interviews, they are getting jobs. So we can't go into it thinking that like nothing's working and we can't do anything about this. One thing that's pretty new is that the volume of applicants based on the market and based on things like LinkedIn Easy Apply is really huge. And what that means is that recruiters only have their reporting seconds to look at each CV. And so we need to make some adjustments for that, as well as for things like the ATS, which is applicant tracking system. And that's when the computers review our CVs to make sure that we are getting through those phases and actually getting to interviews.
How would you experience this differently today versus like a year ago?
Versus several years ago, I think you need a lot more resilience now. So you might apply to way more jobs than you have in the past. You might not be getting headhunted as you were for your last role or for your last couple of roles. So it's really about making those human connections where possible and finding the right roles, being intentional and giving them all the information they need at the outset to make the right decision on you.
Eric Crawford, who spent the past 30 years in tech, sees this chaos as the best time to stand out.
I feel like there's more opportunity now than there's ever been before. So if you're complaining, you just have the wrong thought framework. And because of the proliferation of different technologies and companies and platforms, you now have an opportunity to build things and connect with people directly, even, CEOs, VPs, whomever it is, through just based on your curiosity and creativity. And I feel like a lot of people are not taking advantage of that.
He's right. New platforms, AI tools, and talent everywhere is easier than ever to show what you can do, but harder to get noticed with generic applications. So what does that mean? If the average candidate's running on autopilot, you just need to raise your standard above that bar. By the way, Sandy and Eric mentor professionals just like you on Mentor Cruise. Check out the links below to connect with them or find a mentor that meets your specific needs. So how do you cut through the noise? Right now, most people are saying the same things. Same buzzwords, same bullet points. I mean, everyone's passionate about teamwork and communication, right? But when everything sounds the same, recruiters tune out. They start looking for reasons to say no and not yes. Sandy told me the first thing she looks for on a CV isn't what's good, is what's going to get you rejected.
So the first thing I do when I'm reviewing a CV is I look for anything that might be a red flag. And so some people accidentally do things that are going to put themselves in the no pile because the recruiters don't have time to follow up. I had one candidate who is right to work in the UK. However, their last jobs were in America. And if someone's reading that real fast, they might say, oh no, I have to sponsor this person, or they don't have the right to work and they don't really have time to follow up. So the first thing is go through and scrub out anything that might have you in the no pile. And then the second piece is thinking about how to actually shine. So if I've got 100 CVs, 1,000 CVs that I'm reviewing, what can you tell me that no one else has told me or that very few people have told me? So I work with a lot of data scientists. If they're about me is all of the buzzwords. I'm a multidisciplinary data scientist, good at problem solving and communicating. Everybody told me that. What's different about you? What is in your story that makes me want to learn more and to talk to you again?
It's not about listing every single skill you've ever had. It's about telling the story only you can tell. And Eric says, don't just tell people what you can do. Show them.
A lot of people just send out a resume, maybe a cover letter or an intro, and then they think, oh, my sparkling personality will help me crack the interview, and I'll be good, right? But that's not really how it's working right now. So what I have this method where you lead up front with value in the form of prototypes and briefs and analysis and research, and then you present that even before the first call with the recruiter or the hiring manager. So it sets the tone for your intentionality and your passion and interest in the company. And that is what people share internally. And that's what gives you the visibility to get attention and ultimately present your case.
In other words, the best candidates don't wait to be discovered. They demonstrate their value from the get-go. Okay, it's one thing to talk about standing out, and it's another to actually do it. Sandy told me about a client who changed everything by flipping one simple thing: how they describe their work.
So one of the main mistakes people are making is they list out their CV, this is what I've done, and not this is what the company got from it. So when you turn that on its head and sort of explain the impact that came from your work, people are much more likely to call you back. So usually that one change actually unlocks a lot more interviews for folks. And I have been working with some clients who have successfully gotten through job offers. Honestly, it's making changes to these CVs and the process and approach to make sure that we're not getting overlooked. And then it's also in sort of how you show up in interviews and doing a little bit of work there, and specifically a little bit of mindset work.
Sandy sees great people get passed over all the time because they undersell their impact or they walk in already doubting themselves.
Everyone has these doubts, and honestly, the doubts can be from anywhere. So I see one client who says they want to get the stench of the PhD off them because they don't think industry wants them. I see another client that says, oh, this company only talks to PhDs. Why would they want me? And so these can be totally valid, and they certainly are experiencing that. But if you go into interviews, into applying, thinking, I'm not going to get it, these are the reasons, this is what's against me, you're not going to get through and you're not going to be successful. So building up that confidence, and this is why I'm great, to be able to go in and tell those stories is usually what unlocks that. So I've had a bunch of success with clients in updating the CV, making sure we're telling a clean story. We've gotten rid of the red flags. We've explained why this person is special. And then they practice showing up with confidence and being clear in what they are offering to the company, and has often worked out really well for them.
The story you tell yourself is the one the interviewer hears. So you don't have to oversell yourself, you just have to sound like you actually believe your own story. Eric approaches it from a different angle. When he spots an opportunity to improve a product he uses, he'll mock up a fix and send it to the company to show his value.
I've written to CEOs of companies where I saw a really cool product that they've had. I tested out their onboarding flow. I saw major flaws. I documented it, wrote to the CEO, said, hey, here's what's going on right now. And if you fix this, I can show you X million dollars of referral revenue that you're not capturing or that you're leaving on the table right now. So my thought is to keep that really simple, kind of find your zone in terms of what type of media works for you, and then you can just easily kind of templatize that, and the next one you do becomes higher quality and faster. There's so many ways to go about it, but you just have to find what you're comfortable with. I use often a triple threat strategy, which is kind of like a basketball term for when you have the ball, you can dribble, drive, or pass. My version of that is a really short email, a couple sentences, like maybe 3 to 6 sentences, a quick 1.5 minute video introducing yourself as a real human, and then some sort of original analysis or a deck or a prototype or a landing page, whatever it is that says, hey, I've been thinking about this, and this is based on a couple assumptions. Here's something that I think we can consider or discuss as it relates to this opportunity with your company.
That's what he teaches his clients too. Lead with curiosity, not credentials. So whether it's a CV or a prototype, show what you can do and make sure people notice. So if you're job hunting right now, where'd you start? Sandy says to begin with the skills and never go out of fashion.
I think there are 2 key skills that I really think that people should be working on developing right now, especially if you're in a role, and they are communication and influence. And so if you're showing up to an interview and not interviewing as well as you want, you need to improve your communication, and you can do that in your current job. I would make some time to ask people that you trust for feedback, and the specific question I want to ask is, what is one thing I could do to improve how I communicate? So that takes away them saying, oh no, you're perfect. It takes away other things, and use that to make sure that you're building up your communication skills. So when it's time to interview, you're ready, as well as this idea of influence, right? If the computer's going to do all the calculations and the computers are going to do translating or bigger chunk of it, what you want to be able to do is explain to people what they should do and what business changes they should make to advance. So thinking about those 2 things will help you both on the job market and also in your current role.
If you can't explain your ideas clearly or persuade people to act on them, then no algorithm's gonna save you. Eric says the future's fractional. What advice would you give to people to stand out in 2026?
Number one is that there's a sort of a new phrase now that the future is fractional. And I feel that most people should be thinking in that mindset right now. You should always be pitching for full-time roles or cool companies that you see. Maybe there's a job available, maybe there isn't even a job available, but you can still, if you try the product or the platform and you do a teardown or you read customer reviews, you can start a conversation. Your goal is to get a meeting, right? And then once you get that meeting, whatever it turns into, it could be nothing. It could be project-based work. It could be, wow, Eric, you found a niche and a problem here that we definitely need help with, so we're going to hire you full-time for that. I feel like it allows you to establish multiple sources of income. You always have to have your antenna up in the market, and that's the best way to source opportunities for yourself. So LinkedIn is great. You can follow a number of people there that give you information that resonates, but that's only one channel, right? There are YouTube events, podcasts, and those are all sources of ideas. And even Instagram, TikTok, social channels, because those are reflections of you and your interests.
All this means you don't have to wait for someone to post your dream job. You just start building it now. To stop waiting for permission, show what you can do and tell the story behind it. The job market is changing fast, and that's scary for most people. Eric and Sandy showed us it's full of opportunity if you just stop doing what everyone else does. For example, when everyone still depends on the development team to prototype a product, you could test ideas quickly with vibe coding. You can learn everything you need to start vibe coding in this video on screen. If you want someone like Eric or Sandy to help you with your specific situation, visit the link below to browse mentors on Mentor Cruise. Whether you're hunting, switching careers, or leveling up, there's someone who's been exactly where you are. And I'll see you in the next one.